Now, without any further delay, let's begin today's event, Facebook Lead Ads, powered by Neustar. It is now my pleasure to introduce your first presenter, Maria Kiskis. Maria, you have the floor.
Good morning, everybody. Many thanks for joining us today. We know generating high-quality leads is a key challenge for today's marketer, and we wanted to share some insights on how we can help you improve lead performance. As such, we're excited to share with you more about a partnership and solution Neustar and Facebook have been embarking upon that will help you combine the power of Facebook's breadth and scale with the accuracy of Neustar's trusted identity. Next slide, please. Great. I am Maria Kiskis, as Phil noted, and I head up strategic partnerships at Neustar, focusing on bringing new partner programs to market in collaboration with key partners like Facebook. I'll hand it over to Doug now.
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us. Doug Weiss here. I'm a member of our product partnerships team here at Facebook. I'm really focused on working with developing and building out new partnerships with technology providers such as Neustar to really build out new capabilities and functionalities for our ad products while also helping to drive adoption. I cover actually a suite of products that are really dedicated to helping to figure out how we can unlock Facebook for some of our clients who might not be digital natives. So those clients such as automotive, education, financial services, and this suite of products includes lead ads, which we'll be talking about today. I guess I'll hand it to Devin also to introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Devin de Blasio. I'm a product marketing manager for Neustar's Marketing Services Solutions, focusing mainly on customer intelligence, really working on integrating Neustar's identity layer into our suite of products, and really excited to be here to talk to you about this exciting opportunity as we work with Facebook to integrate Neustar's identity features and solutions into their great lead ads product.
Great. Well, so just to set a little bit of context, and we heard about how we might be asking you a question here or there to help understand kind of what is the understanding of lead ads within this audience. So you'll see we've put up a poll just to try to understand what is your familiarity with Facebook lead ads. Is this something that you've heard of? Is this something that you've seen in your own Facebook newsfeed? Is this something that you've actually tested for yourself, or is this something that you're actually even using regularly? I just would love if you guys could answer for each of you, kind of what is your level of familiarity with Facebook lead ads? And I'll give us 30 seconds to kind of pick the right one. And just to try to understand, this is a product that's now been out for about 1.5 years from Facebook. How are we doing in making, all of you aware of the product, aware of its capabilities, and getting people to actually test it out? Great. I think that should probably be enough time. Great. Well, this seems like this is actually an opportunity for us, and I'm glad we're doing this webinar because it does seem like most of you are actually not that familiar with lead ads. As you can see here, the top choice is actually that you've not even heard of them before. And so, the main goal of this presentation is really going to help you understand not only what is Facebook lead ads, but also how can Facebook lead ads be used most effectively for you, especially now with the new partnership that we most recently launched with Neustar. This is hopefully you'll step away from this presentation understanding why we built this product, what it can do kind of on a core functionality level, but then go through some use cases of why it might be relevant to your use case. And just to even before we get too deep into what lead ads actually is, I think it might make sense actually to give a little bit of context. Many of you probably experienced this on your own firsthand of the fast movement of consumer behavior from desktop to mobile, where while you might have been doing a lot of your online behavior on a laptop even 3 or 4 years ago, right now you see increasingly that behavior transferring to mobile. We see that over 3 hours a day are now spent on the mobile device, and these interactions on the mobile device, unlike if you think about your desktop situation, are increasingly happening within apps. And so as we are as with a user base of 1.9 billion people, Facebook wanted to figure out, now that we have such high engagement with people on a mobile device, how do we create a core product that can actually help clients of all kinds really find the right people that they want to start on a sales cycle. And so with that, we launched Facebook Lead Ads. And so as you can see through this video, Facebook Lead Ads is actually a product that in the initial user experience actually looks the same as any other ad product. The first interaction within the newsfeed looks like any other video or image ad that you might have. What is different, though, is what happens when you click on the ad. When you click on that ad, instead of being directed offsite, pushing someone to have a lag lead time in terms of their interaction with Facebook to when they might be entering in their information themselves, and or the non-mobile optimized experience of actually manually filling out a form, you see that automatically that lead form, and I'll actually play this again while I continue to explain it, this lead form actually has a form that has all the fields of information that you may be interested in as an advertiser. But as a lot of these fields of information are actually fields of information that a user has already shared on their Facebook profile, you'll see that a lot of these fields of information are actually pre-filled. For those of you in the lead generation business, you'll know that this is incredibly important because it makes it easy for that consumer, for that user, to actually submit their information and to allow them to share that information with the advertiser. For those of you, who have tried to fill out information yourselves on a mobile device, it's a very clumsy experience. And, as I'm sure you've seen with your own lead generation activities, every part of an experience where you have to actually require a consumer to do some form of activity, where you add friction into the process of getting that information from the user, makes it very likely that they may drive off. And so by having that information pre-filled within the lead ad itself, you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to very easily enable that user to submit their information to that advertiser so that they can actually generate that lead and start that journey with the user on engaging in that sales cycle. And the reason that we actually launched this product is because it actually solves a lot of the problems that we currently see for lead generation on mobile devices. One is its ability to collect leads across devices. One of the things that I think is really interesting about modern consumer behavior is that you might be interacting with an advertiser on your mobile device, then on your tablet, then on your desktop. Because of that central theme of identity that ties all of those interactions together on the Facebook platform, you're able to reach the user where they are. On Facebook alone, more than 80% of current usage is on mobile device, but that still leaves a good chunk that's not. And so you're able to make sure that you're connecting with the right person at the right time on the right device. And so you're able to make sure that you're reaching the people where they are, and again, making it easy for them to engage in this behavior and for them to pass along that information to you as the advertiser. In addition, one of the big issues that we see with mobile device form fill is that I don't know if you guys have the same problem, but I actually have pretty thick fingers I often am, if I have to manually type in things, I'm often either mistyping myself or my phone is actually auto-correcting it to something I don't want it to be. Especially around, my name or my email address, where, the phone is actually auto-correcting to an information that is not right. And so you have a much higher incidence of actually having incorrect information that's coming through these forms. With the Facebook lead ad, the great thing is that the information is coming from the person's Facebook profile. And if you think about that information on that Facebook profile and what it is meant to do, which is, make sure that friends and family can connect with that person and get a hold of them and interact and connect with them, this is information that is very likely to be up to date. Whether it be their name, their email address, their phone number, this is information that people are very actively hoping that friends and family will leverage to connect with them, and so it's very likely that it is very accurate. And so by pre-filling it, you don't have the opportunity for mistyping or for mis-autocorrect, and so you ensure that you have the highest level quality of data, and you have the right fields of data that are being pulled from a previous submission of data to that Facebook profile. There are situations, of course, where potentially someone's email address just changed, or their phone number just changed, or they just moved. The great thing about the lead ads is that while it is pre-filled, it is not static, where you're able to actually then automatically edit the fields that may be out of date, and ensure that not only are you taking advantage of the streamlined user flow by having that pre-filled, but then giving the opportunity to edit and make sure it's the most up-to-date information, so that, again, that you have the highest quality of information that is being submitted. Combined with this is the ability to acquire the right leads. The great thing about anything that we do at Facebook is that, you can combine lead ads with some of the other great capabilities that we have, and one of the strongest capabilities is this ability to target. Whether it is through just some of the behavioral and demographic targeting that we have kind of embedded into to the ad creation flow, or the ability to use a product that we call custom audiences, which allows you to upload a list of current high-value customers or current potential leads that you can either then target specifically or leverage Facebook's massive scale to be able to find people that are just like those good customers. For instance, you might be an education provider, online education company that has really a customer database, and you find for some reason that a very large chunk of your customers are actually between the ages of 35 and 38, live in San Francisco, and actually really interested in reading the New York Times. Because of our massive scale, we are able to figure out from your customer database those characteristics that are most important in driving and figuring out which of those users are going to be most important, and then find other users that are just like those high-value users. Find those people that are most likely to actually submit their lead form and be able to actually engage in this process of becoming a customer with your company. And the last thing about this is that there's a lot of effort that's been put together, and Neustar's been a great partner for this point specifically, is the ability to then access these leads in real time. Of course, generating a lead is just the first step in that journey. You need to ensure that you are then following up on those leads in a timely, efficient, and effective manner. Especially with some of the capabilities that Neustar brings to the table in terms of helping you understand how you could segment these leads, which of these leads are actually most valuable, and which of the leads actually are highest intent. You're then able to then automatically push these leads into Neustar, get that level of segmentation and verification done in real time, and then do the follow-up that you're already doing. One of the great things that we really have been pushing at Facebook is the ability to ensure that Facebook is really seen as an additional new source of leads that really should fit into the lead generation and cultivation processes that you've already fine-tuned and honed over the years. We want to ensure that you're able to make sure that these leads that are generated on Facebook are automatically getting pushed into your CRM with the right next steps already understood, and make sure that you're taking the right action on these leads. And one of the great things about Facebook, kind of I mentioned before, is that you're able to do all of this at scale. Because of the massive engagement that we have, not only just in terms of number of users, but in terms of actually the number of engagements we have per user per day, just makes it really easy to connect to the right people at the right time that are most likely to not only become leads, but actually become customers. As I mentioned before, there are over 1.9 billion monthly users on Facebook around the world. And even in the U.S., the average user is not only just engaging with it once a month, but the average user in the U.S. actually is coming back to their Facebook newsfeed 14 times a day. And so the ability to leverage this massive scale, this massive amount of engagement, ensures that you're able to reach the right people. And because we have such high engagement and we've created such a frictionless user experience, not only are you able to reach the right people, but you're able to make them actually take that next step to really submit their information so that you can create the beginning of a sales cycle that will convert them into a customer. And one of the great things about this product is that it really can be used across a lot of different objectives. As you think about traditional lead generation, we wanted to make sure that this can be leveraged to fill all of these great use cases that we know a lot of advertisers are struggling with through a mobile device. One is the very simple idea of doing a newsletter or information sign-up. Whether it be an email list or whether it be a customer database, being able to add to that customer database so that you can start having a regular sense of engagement with that user so that you're able to then, get them to be a loyal, at least aware of your company and then potentially be loyal and then potentially actually, convert into a customer. If you think about some of the fields that are most relevant as you think about newsletters or information sign-up, email and name, those are the fields where we have unbelievable, if not almost 100% coverage. And so the ability to get someone to add themselves to your mailing list with 2 clicks, once to open the lead form, and then second to submit their information, is unbelievably powerful. And we have seen allow many clients across verticals and across regions increase the number of leads that they are able to add to their mailing list by anywhere from 10 to 50-fold. So let me say that again. If you were previously being able to generate 10 leads per week with your other channels, the ability to potentially generate 100 or even 500 leads that then you have this regular engagement with. And because of the ease of being able to submit that information, be able to generate those leads at a much, much lower cost. Because, again, we're eliminating that friction between the user actively wanting to submit the information and then being able to submit that information, you're able to not only generate a high number of leads, but actually then do it at a lower cost. This is also very effective if you think about deals and coupons and offers. A number of e-commerce retailers, media companies, financial services often want to incentivize one behavior or another. Lead ads makes it really easy for you to get their name, get some of their key pieces of information, and then automatically email them once that lead is submitted. Email them to send them over, a 10% off coupon for their first purchase. We've seen it be really successful, again, across a lot of verticals, and really, again, not only adding to their customer databases, but by having that incentive to actually for them to take that next step and become a customer, really drive net new customers and drive impact to the bottom line. This is also especially powerful as you think about some of those industries that have longer sales cycle. Things like education, financial services, and professional services, where it's not usually someone in their first interaction is making the decision to purchase. But because of the lead ad flexibility, and with the lead ad, you can use any one of a number of 21 kind of default, what we call personal identification information fields. So things like name, email address, phone number, date of birth, city, education level, things that are often in on Facebook profiles. But in addition, you can actually ask custom questions as well. So that, say you're an education company, you definitely want to target potentially, students that look similar to your current students using the lookalike audiences, but to make sure that you have the best next step follow-up, the best, the most effective phone call or email that might happen after the lead is submitted. You may ask, in addition to name, email address, and phone number, you may actually ask what type of program are they interested in? Is it online or offline? What is potentially their timeline for matriculation? So that you can ensure not only do you have their contact information to reach out to them, but you have an additional layer of information that makes sure that reach out is successful. And then lastly is this ability to do an even further step in the sales cycle of doing demos or sample requests, where you're actually able, because of the depth of information you're able to capture in the lead form, able to sign up someone for a test drive, to send them out a sample of a product, to ensure, again, that you're taking that next step, because the lead ad isn't where it ends. It's really that very important first step that then can drive, again, highly engaged relationships with your consumers and net new customers. In addition to these more standard lead generation, there's actually a lot of other ways you can use this product as well. In many ways, I've actually been pushing for the company to think of lead ads as a bit of a misnomer, because the reality is that it's a very effective way of getting first-party data on your either new or existing customers. This was really heavily used, we saw in the political cycle of last year, for people to sign up new donors or new people on their mailing list. It's really effective because you're, again, being able to leverage the targeting that is inherent within Facebook, but also in being able to make it very easy for someone to sign up and then create that list that you can then go back to once you want them to take a certain activity or you want to raise money. One we talked about a little bit that I think is really interesting is this idea of doing product sampling, where we had a cosmetic company do a lead ad where they just asked for name, email address, and age, and we're able to automatically send a coupon to the email address that could be redeemed in store to actually get that cosmetic sample. This is a really good opportunity because instead of actually needing to ship the sample to the user, the cosmetic company was able to significantly reduce the cost of doing the sampling. In addition, by having them go into store, you're already creating this sense of relationship that is, in person between the user and the advertiser in this case, and create that sense of, engagement and loyalty. And then in addition, since they already had the contact information, they were able to then very easily reach back out to those users to understand what they thought about the product. So it was a really effective and cost-effective way for them to actually get almost a focus group in a very short amount of time at scale at a very low cost. And I won't read through all of these, but another one that I really like is this idea of doing a white paper or a content download, where you might have a new interesting piece of content that is a very good teaser of the services or the product that you might provide as a company, and being able, again, to automatically just in real time follow up with those users that are submitting information through the lead ad will ensure that you're actually able to, send that content to them in real time and then follow up with that user to make sure that they understood the content, that see if they have any questions about the content, and again, give them a taste of that product that otherwise would be so difficult to do. If you think about how you might do this without the lead ad product, you would need to potentially have an ad through Facebook, direct them to a site that's probably not mobile optimized, where they would need to manually type in their information. They would then probably need to go to a second site to potentially download the content itself, and it just creates a lot of points of friction that makes it much less likely that the user will actually drop off. And so makes it really important, and so this product makes it really easy for you to then, again, not only get that lead, but actually take that next step. And one of the things that we have been working with partners on, and Neustar has been a really good example of this, is yes, not only understanding, who are the leads and generating a large number of leads, but then what is the right, form of follow-up. Depending on how valuable the lead is and what characteristics that the lead might have, you might do very different aspects of follow-up. And so we're really excited to now talk through kind of some of the things that Neustar is bringing to the table to help you think through, now that you have these leads, how do I think about what is the right follow-up and what is the right prioritization across those leads?
Great. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. And yeah, just want to reiterate, so Neustar has really been trying to be the leader in connecting people, places, and things. And we're doing it with an authoritative sense of identity. So with Facebook being a trusted partner of ours, we are really there to provide the identity resolution as well as the identity enrichment across all of these types of products, including lead ads. So we talked a little bit earlier about it's really important about how we engage with consumers. We need to make sure that we're doing it in a trusted and compassionate way, and that we know that in today's ecosystem, getting consumers to fill out a lead form, whether it's on desktop, whether it's on mobile, wherever it's going to be, can be difficult. A lot of people are aware that they're being advertised to, and depending on how that brand organization is engaging with that consumer, it can be very difficult to actually collect not only just data in general, but actually valid first-party data from those prospects and hand raisers. And then, as Doug said earlier, doing this on a mobile phone is extremely hard, not just because people are always on the move, but because the amount of information that a lot of organizations require to be collected on these tiny devices, it's very difficult. So if me, as you know, I'm going to work on the train, I get a lead form, I really want, this particular product, I start to fill out the information, and they're asking for 5, 6 different pieces of personal identifiable information, name, phone number, address, email. All that information gets really difficult to type in, and then there's really an equation as of how much is this service or product worth to me versus how much is my time, worthy to myself at this particular, state in transit, whether I'm on the phone, on a plane or on a train or something like that. So we know it's really, really difficult for today's, organizations, specifically B2C, to collect these valuable pieces of information from consumers. And if we look at some interesting stats here, as the number of form fields being required to fill out increases, that's going to decrease the amount of attention and forms that are actually going to be completed by consumers. This is a pretty common sense statistic here, but it goes to show that the less information that you're asking for, from a consumer, the more often they're going to fill out that lead form or fill out that particular piece of engagement to make a connection with that consumer. But as we know, if we look, a shorter lead form means you're collecting less data. It's pretty common sense there as well. So the less information you have on a consumer, the less likely you're going to be able to engage with that consumer across all the different touch points that consumers now need to be engaged with by a brand in a personalized and relevant way in order for that connection or that conversion to actually occur. So Neustar has identified this as a huge problem for B2C specific customers in the ecosystem. And Facebook has really been a great partner in helping us bring our identity resolution solutions to the actual table and helping brands fill the gaps so they actually can provide shorter lead forms, be able to fill in with that great proprietary profile information that Facebook is providing, and then adding additional enriched information. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like. So what we're doing is essentially filling the gaps across your lead intelligence using our identity layer. Neustar has access to over 120 million households and 220 million adult information, including name, address, phone number, and email. In addition to that, we're not only taking that information, let's say you have a lead form that's being populated by Facebook. We're having a name and maybe the email filled out from the profile information. Neustar can then connect those gaps based on our identity layer and link that profile to all of their other pieces of proprietary information. We can complete the entire profile of that hand raiser, and we actually can take it a step further. So once you know the name, address, phone number, email, that is fantastic for engaging with that consumer offline. Whether you're working with direct mail, or you're working with email, or through a call center, you have the proprietary information required to make that connection and make that engagement. But we also see another trend where that the information provided by Facebook, although it's extremely valuable, it's still a social-focused pieces of proprietary information. And I know a lot of people today, specifically in the millennial generation who are used to being advertised to, they may not be completely transparent about who they are online. And the information that they provide in the social sphere may be very, very accurate, when they actually fill it out originally or enter that information. But over time, that data can erode. So what Neustar is doing is taking the great information that Facebook has at the profile level, and we're actually enhancing it. We're adding additional information, using our authoritative identity layer to layer in things like online behaviors, demographic and geographic behaviors, purchase behaviors and buying preferences. What are they interested in? What's the propensity of this person to actually convert? Things like lifestyle, psychographic things, whether they're interested in running or maybe they're interested in going out or in dining. And then also media consumption. What types of devices are they using? Are they watching addressable TV or connected TV? Are they mostly on their desktop or on their mobile phone during certain portions of the day? So this information that we're essentially collecting from all these offline authoritative sources, we're using it, stitching it together with the user's profile information as well as their authoritative offline identity, and essentially creating a full profile for that consumer. And from here, we can do a couple different things for organizations. We can score these leads. So what that means essentially is we're assessing the propensity of this user to either engage with your brand or purchase your product or your service. We have proprietary algorithms that we have internally. We work with our clients to determine what is the most relevant KPIs or statistics that you would like to apply to this user. And then from there, we actually can route those leads accordingly to the most appropriate source, whether it's a call agent, whether it's a mail shop, or whether it's directly into your DMP or DSP for programmatic engagement. And then just taking a look at what this actually looks like from a workflow perspective. Clicking to the next slide. So what's happening right away is, again, you're going to be building your lead ads. So let's go over the process step by step. You're going in, you're selecting your criteria, and you're selecting your demographics and your custom segmentations of who you want to target on Facebook. You're going ahead and building those lead ads forms with all the proprietary content that you want to distribute out to those select audiences. What's happening then is we're actually receiving the lead information from Facebook, and then we're going to be then scoring, segmenting, and verifying these leads. So we're making sure these leads have a full profile. We're making sure these leads are actually accurate, and then we're actually going to score these leads so that only the top qualified leads based on your proprietary business rules are being routed to you and through to your CRM. What this is going to let us do is a couple different things. It's going to allow us to obviously completely optimize and refine the way that you're targeting and segmenting on Facebook. So it's a continual loop of optimization. It's going to let you, just as Doug said before, create lookalike audiences and just have smarter segmentation, allowing you to enrich your CRM data, bring that back online, and then redistribute those across the lead ad forms. But because we know who this user is, as including their offline and online behaviors and profile, we're actually enriching the ability for you to target this consumer in the omni-channel landscape. So whether it's going to be targeting them on social, just like on Facebook, like you've been doing, or whether you want to engage in a digital program, whether you want to have outbound calling, whether you want to do it through email, direct mail, or mobile engagement via your app, Neustar, because we are completing that profile and making sure that you're only engaging with the top qualified prospects, we're going to streamline your efficiencies, we're going to reduce costs and expand your marketing reach, all because you have better first-party data. And with better first-party data comes an enriched profile. So by verifying and qualifying that lead, we're actually getting you closer to the actual individual. It's a one-to-one marketing, people-based marketing that actually is working because we use authoritative identity. We know who these people are, and the sources used to verify this information, it's essentially their job to know who you are. Governmental, utilities, communications sources that we can tap into to build this layer of identity to allow you to be smarter about how you engage with these consumers on as well as offline. And I want to just also bring in my colleague Maria just to add any additional color here as to our engagement with Facebook that she may have. Maria?
Yeah, so I think we're excited to say, in today's world where you're generating leads, you're looking to reach users where and how they're engaging on Facebook, and then looking to say, hey, let's make sure that we can get the best information that we have on them so that we can target and determine the right messaging to reach them and engage with them. So we'll actually pass it back over to Doug to talk a little bit about some case studies that we have regarding success with lead ads.
Thank you so much, Maria. So just to help bring this to light a little bit, I wanted to walk through kind of some of the, some just very illustrative case studies. As I said before, we've seen a lot of success across a lot of different verticals and different regions. So this is meant purely just to give a little bit of sampling. The first one is a great case that I love personally from Toyota because not only does it talk to the power of the first step in this process, which is generating the leads. As you'll see that, if you look at the number of leads that this was able to create in 7 days, is over 2,500, which was 5x greater than any other campaign that they had done before. Again, just because of the highly streamlined kind of user experience of tapping on a lead, having the fields pre-filled, they were able to make sure that they were able to make it easy for someone to submit their information. Again, because it is such a frictionless experience and you didn't have that drop-off, that then resulted in a much, much lower cost per lead. The thing that I think is most important, though, is that last statistic, where in kind of overall in the automotive industry, 1 in 4 test drives will generally result in a sale. And the exciting thing here is that of the 2,500 leads that were generated, almost 60% actually resulted in test drives. So that's basically 1,500, 1,500 test drives driven from this one campaign. And if you do the simple math on, 1 in 4, this one campaign basically drove 375 cars to be sold, which is really the thing that people care about most. Yes, it's important to get leads, but this product is great because not only are you generating a large number of leads, you're able to do it at a low cost due to the streamlined experience, and then you're able to get the right information to follow up in the right way, and ensure that you really get the business impact that you care about. In the financial services industry, we had a really interesting use case combining lead ads with another product that I mentioned before, which is our custom audiences. One of the great things about Facebook is obviously the great penetration we have, especially in certain countries, Brazil being one of them, where Santander had a target list of consumers across a whole host of different age segments and demographic segments, and they were able to reach 81% of them on Facebook. So basically, of the in total list of, let's say, with 10,000, they were able to reach over 8,000 just because of the coverage Facebook has and the usage it has kind of across the population. Not only that, they were able to then drive a significant increase in the number of qualified leads. If you look at this campaign versus aggregating all of the other digital campaigns that the bank was running at the same time, this campaign alone drove a 52% increase in qualified leads. And this is because, again, you were able to not only reach the right people, but you were able to make it easy for them to submit their information. Again, the most important thing, though, is not generating leads is not just generating leads, but it's actually driving the impact that they want. And you'll see that this campaign had a 7x better return rate than their other marketing activities because, again, they're able to target the right people and get the right information. And so being able to then, again, not only just generate the lead, but generate the right leads that then can be followed up in an appropriate way to drive the behavior that the company actually cares about. And lastly, I wanted to talk about a company called Thinkful that to me is very much kind of gotten the holy grail of lead generation. I think one is, again, they were able to, because of Facebook scale and the ease to develop campaigns, able to drive a 2.7x in the total number of leads. Not only were these just leads, though, that they were able to actually make those leads turn into sales, where it was almost a 1-to-1 lead ad to revenue correlation, where of that 2.7x increase in leads, you're actually driving an increase in revenue by 2.5x. Not only are they ensuring that they become initial customers, though, but you'll see that they actually drove high engagement with these customers, where they had a 44% increase. So again, not only are they generating a larger amount of leads, but they're driving leads that turn into revenue, and revenue that then repeats because it's continually engaged. This had on a top line, this one campaign drove a 6% increase in sales. So if you're thinking about, any business that you may be working with today, the ability to materially improve and increase the amount of revenue that is coming in on any day or any week can ensure that you're really getting the performance that you need out of these campaigns, and lead ads are a really great way to do it. I'm now going to hand it back over to Neustar and let you understand then how you can then combine their capabilities with some of these capabilities that are in lead ads.
Great, thanks, Doug. Really appreciate that. So we saw some case studies, as far as how Facebook is going to improve your engagement with your consumers on, via these lead ads through Facebook. But let's talk a little bit about what happens using Neustar's identity solution that gets you a little bit closer to these customers and actually helps you facilitate increased Let's take a look at this first one. What's the increase? 48% increase in identity verification rate. So we had a financial services provider, a leading financial services provider here in the United States, using Neustar's lead intelligence solutions. What they were able to do is essentially take the fractional identifiers that they were receiving from the lead form. So I think it was just name and name and email. But they really needed address. They had a really big direct mail campaign. Plus, they used the address as their main identifier, and they weight that a lot higher as far as the qualification of those leads. So because Neustar, using our authoritative identity layer, was able to stitch together these fractional identifiers and then pull in and fill the gaps with additional pieces of identity like address, we were actually able to increase the verification rate in real time up to 48%, almost a half, almost doubling their identification rate across the board. So this helps them engage with consumers in a more trusted and neutral way without having to worry about engaging with people who, one, don't want to be engaged with, or two, wasting their resources, both time and money, engaging with people who are not even there. So let's take a look at the second use case we have here, where a leading health provider, was able to actually increase the sale qualified leads by 10x. And this is by using Neustar's lead scoring application. So what we actually were doing were identifying how they wanted to weight a specific lead that was coming in through a lead form. They had specific business rules that were able to help us understand that if they meet this criteria of demographic behavioral attributes, we would then score this particular user higher. In addition, we would have proprietary algorithms that would statistically and analyze the propensity to convert and the propensity to purchase based on lookalike modeling that we have on other consumers who perform similar actions with similar makeup of personal identifiable information, as well as demographic and behavioral information. So using this algorithm, we are essentially able to score the leads as they came in through the lead acquisition forms and actually increase the amount of sales qualified leads before the sales agent would engage with these consumers. So obviously, as a B2C consumer who invests heavily in acquisition, that means heavily in call agents, heavily in email attribution, as well as heavily in direct mail acquisition, this is going to reduce costs across the board and actually improve the engagement with your consumers. So it's allowing you to be more personalized and more relevant across more screens and touch points, all with the use of Neustar's authoritative identity layer, being able to score these leads and these hand raisers before coming into this sales and acquisition cycle. So without any further ado, I want to kick it back over to my colleague Maria to kind of round us out here with some final words before we go into the Q&A section of the presentation.
Yeah, so I think basically, as Doug and Devin have shared today, we've kind of walked through the cycle of, hey, what can you do to actually generate leads? How can Facebook leverage their breadth and scale to ensure that you can reach your desired audiences, and then be able to leverage Neustar's lead intelligence solutions to better understand who those users are so that you can develop the right messaging for them and reach them, be it on Facebook and elsewhere. Now, I appreciate that we now have some time for some questions, and so with only a bit left, we'd love to make sure that we're covering what you guys need and ensure that we share as much as we can. So thanks, I will kick off. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so just some questions are rolling in now. Please make sure you're entering the questions in the Q&A section. The first question is actually for Doug. The question is, what part of the sales cycle are lead ads most well suited for?
Yeah, I talked through this a little bit kind of during my part of the presentation, is that in many ways, people think about lead ads being at the very beginning when, you're just starting to potentially find net new leads. But the great thing is that this is really a way to get information on customers at any aspect of their sales cycle. So for instance, we recently had an automotive client that actually first did a brand awareness video campaign where they did a campaign that had a 2-minute video that was showcasing one of their new cars. They then actually followed that up for only those users who had actually watched the full video, so it seemed to be actually pretty interested in the car. They then targeted them with a lead ad campaign where they asked them, basic, personal information and wanted to get an understanding of, what was their level of interest in the car and what was their potential timeline. On those that, were in the market for a car immediately, the initial leads actually got pushed, to the dealers and a phone call followed up next. For those that actually were 6 to 9 months away, the automotive company did a couple of campaigns over the next 3 to 6 months that kind of kept the leads warm, just keeping them up to date of some of the product features and making sure that they were aware of some of the awards that the car got. But then when it came closer to that time window that they were looking for a car, another lead ad kind of campaign was sent out to ensure that there was an understanding of where, again, that person was in the sales cycle. And getting further information on, what is the specific version of that model that they might be interested in, and what is the thing that might be preventing them from buying the car today. This was able to then, again, because of the flexibility of the lead ad form, they were able to get the right pieces of information to ensure that they then not only were able to get net new customers, but actually then get further information on leads that they already had. And so that's one of the great things about this product is that it can really be leveraged at any point of the sales cycle and really be used to build out more information on that customer, whether they be new or existing.
And I just wanted to add, as Doug had mentioned also in his second case study, custom audience can be a huge component in sort of generating leads and sort of working in combination. So one of the things that Neustar can also offer is in enabling, as you're looking to build a target list for running a lead ads campaign, you can actually leverage our audience segmentation or other lead intelligence solutions prior to that as well as after the fact. So those are all things that we can do together to help you generate the best lead list that you can on Facebook.
Great, thank you. Second question coming in now is actually for Neustar. So how do I activate these leads outside of Facebook? So I can handle that one. So as we discussed earlier, in addition to scoring and segmenting the lead with attributes that are valuable, within your cycle on Facebook and bringing it back into the optimized loop, because we're filling the gaps of name, address, phone number, email, you actually can engage with these consumers in the omni-channel world. So because you now have their name associated with their email, their name associated with their address, and because you know some specific things about the propensity to purchase, whether they're a frequent flyer or whether the specific buying power score is higher than the average, you actually can use this information to curate custom messaging and custom engagement, whether you're sending an email or whether you're sending a direct mail to the household. So Neustar uses our individual as well as our household level authoritative identity data to help you be better about engaging with people across every single channel, whether it's on or off of Facebook, it doesn't matter. But most B2C clients know that they need to hit their consumers at least 8 to 9 times at least for frequency to actually be noticed. And that's going to happen anywhere a consumer's face is in front of. So whether it's in front of their desktop when they're at work, whether it's on their mobile device, whether they're in transit, or whether it's in their mailbox when they're sitting at home or over the weekend. So it's really, really important for consumers to not only have a piece of that identity, but you have to have the incomplete thing, and that's where Neustar's identity can really help with that. So another question here that's actually for both parties, for Neustar and for Facebook. What are some best practices to drive success for lead ads? Doug, do you want to take the first part of that for Facebook lead ads specifically?
Sure. Yeah. So I think there's a number of things. I think on the first part, almost breaking down the different components of the lead ad product. The first thing is as with any campaign that you run on Facebook, is the importance of having something that is what we call thumb stopping, where you're never going to get to the lead ad form if someone doesn't actually stop on your ad and click on it. And so make sure that you're using some form of engaging visual, an interesting message, some type of incentive, again, to get someone to stop on your ad and engage with it. The second thing I will say as part of the form is to make sure that you find the right balance between comprehensiveness and the information that you need and making it as lightweight of a user experience as possible for the consumer. Especially, if you're leveraging Neustar, who can then append additional pieces of information, really think about what are the most important pieces of information that you really need, and then figure out what you can potentially leave off for either a follow-up lead ad campaign or to get, either through Neustar or some other channel. You want to make sure that you're not making your form so cumbersome that even if it is pre-filled, that they, don't feel like they need to scroll through a lot of different fields before hitting submit. I think this is even especially more true if you're doing anything around custom custom questions or anything else where we have, less coverage on some of those fields where they're going to have to manually type in an answer. In those situations, obviously, each field where someone has to manually type something in makes it much more likely that the user will drop off and then thus not submit their form. And then the last thing that I will say is just the idea of making sure that you really see this as being just the first step in the journey. Yes, it's great to obviously create leads at a cost-effective price at scale and find the right leads, but that's really just the first step. Integrate this with Neustar into the other systems that you're already using so that you're properly segmenting and prioritizing those leads and then following up on them to make sure that you not only generate a lead, but you're actually closing the lead.
Great, thanks, Doug. And actually, for Neustar, a couple of best practices. It really starts with your data. So the data that you're onboarding into Facebook, your first-party proprietary data, you got to make sure that's clean. You got to make sure it's up to date. You also have to make sure it's enriched. So that's where Neustar's additional authoritative identity services and solutions can help out. We can take your CRM data, we can onboard it, and also we can clean it and we can append it with additional, like I said before, demographic, psychographic behavior, and we can fill the gaps across the PII, making sure that the customer profile is complete. Once that's done, you can onboard it into the Facebook environment, creating your custom segments, and then moving forward from there. On the other end of that system is really making sure that you're working with Neustar, including our advisory services team, who are really there to help you as strategists, to guide you along the way as far as understanding how to actually score your leads and segment your leads. That's actually going to be the best. That's going to lead to the best results for you. So essentially, we'll sit down with you, discuss about what your business rules are, discuss what you're trying to do, where you're trying to engage with these consumers, either it's on or offline, and then figure out what existing segmentation or scoring methods or methodology you're using today, and then help bring that into the fold with Neustar's authoritative identity to make sure that we're actually producing the right statistical algorithms for you and making sure we can do things in a timely fashion to make sure you're moving quickly from when someone actually raises their hand to when you're actually building custom, personalized engagement across all channels. All right, looking for some other questions coming in through the pipe here, and I only have a few minutes left, so make sure any questions you have, please enter into the Q&A section, and we'll be sure to get back to you on that one. All right, well, it looks like we have a couple more questions coming in, but I think we're just going to end early to give everyone a couple minutes back in their day, just because I know a lot of people have things going on, and again, this is almost the end of the day here on the East Coast. So again, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining both Neustar and Facebook to talk about this exciting opportunity that we have. Again, we want to make sure that you're investing your time and your money into the Facebook platform, because obviously we know the reach and scale that exists today, but we also want to make sure you want to be smarter about how you engage with consumers and how you're handling your data assets. So I'm going to kick it back over to, I believe, Phil to close us off.
Oh, thank you, Devin. And ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude today's session. We do thank you for joining us. You may now all disconnect and have a great day.